Hey guys, it's Nike. I wanted to do a quick guide for the warrior build I've been using in SPVP for the last week or so. I have been pushing for my Champ Legionnaire title and I got it, so I felt now that I'm going to take some time off of grinding hardcore PvP to just do a quick build guide. So it is a sword longbow condition damage build, very similar to the one I used to run months ago, but the balance patch has made it a lot better. For a while, I wasn't too keen on it, especially in tournament PvP, but now it is a lot better, especially for tournament PvP, which makes me want to run this more than I want to run a power-based build. So real quick, before we go over the gear, we'll go over the traits. It's 06404. So in arms, we take deep cuts, bleeds you apply last 50% longer. Can't go wrong with that. Blade Master increases your critical hit chance with a sword. This particular trait can be anything. It's up to you. I like the extra critical chance with the sword. It helps with the Grandmaster trait. There's other viable options. You can use Opportunist to gain Fury for 10 seconds when you pin someone down. Or Furious Reaction to gain some Vigor when you take damage. Or even Furious Speed to gain Swiftness on a critical hit. It can really be whichever you prefer. I've even seen people suggest Rending Strikes. So if people have a condition removal skill that removes 3 conditions, it will remove Rending Strikes and not one of your actual DPS conditions. So that's kind of a good idea too. But I think overall Blade Master is kind of like the default go-to. At the Grandmaster level, we take Furious. Critical hits grant bonus Adrenaline. The entire concept of this build is to burst as often as possible. And Furious, in this particular build, will allow you to burst pretty much on cooldown. It's a bit better than Burst Mastery, in my opinion, for this build. With Flurry, you hit so many times, and if you cleave and you're hitting more than one target, Flurry is going to actually fill your adrenaline back up before you're even done. So you'll be able to burst, you'll be able to swap to Longbow and then burst again immediately. So Furious is really, really powerful in this build. In defense, we take Sure-Footed, increased stance duration. When I talk about the utility skills, it will explain why this is so good. I find this to be a lot better than Dogged March. Dogged March is nice, but that's more of like a quality of life, whereas Sure-Footed actually helps you win fights. Next, we have Cleansing Ire. Whenever you use a burst skill, you remove a condition for every bar of adrenaline spent. This build is going to do bursts very, very often, so Cleansing Ire is a very good condition clear and helps you stay clear of any sort of attrition fights. And in Discipline, we'll take Warrior Sprint and Signet Mastery. You can get rid of Warrior Sprint if you want. What you could do is take Signet Mastery there, and then in Warrior Sprint, and then in the Master level, take Mobile Strikes. I think Mobile Strikes is pretty good. Movement skills break immobilize. That is pretty strong overall. But it's kind of niche. I don't find myself ever going, man, I'm immobilized. I really wish I could get out of this really fast. It doesn't just come up very often. The other one that I like is Gain Vigor when using a stance. I think this is a very strong skill to use. Personally, I like the movement speed increase. It helps me get around the map better, and I like being very mobile in PvP. But I could see Vigorous Focus being incredibly powerful in pure dueling situations, just having the extra vigor uptime. So you can kind of tailor these whichever way works best for you. But that's it for the traits. Basically, the build is based around the concept of using your burst skills just as much as possible and spreading conditions that way, and doing the most damage possible with conditions and keeping yourself clean of conditions and being pretty tanky. So when it comes to gear, we have Rabbit Amulet. It does everything we want. It gives us a lot of condition damage. It gives us a lot of toughness, and it gives us a lot of precision. So we're tough, we crit a lot, which is good for Furious, and we do a lot of condition damage. It's everything we want. For Rune, we use Rune of the Crate. It gives 45% bleeding duration and a lot of extra condition damage. Along with deep cuts, we end up having 95% bleed duration, and that is super strong. The super long bleed duration means that Flurry will one-shot low health pool characters. If you get a full Flurry off on a Thief and they don't have a Condition Cleanse ready, or an Ellie, or any low health pool character, Flurry will just really throw them in the dumpster with this build, which is something that we didn't have before, because in the old build, we were using Runes of Melandru, and it was a lot more attrition-based, and you would try to outlast people. But in this build, thanks to this Crate Rune buff, you can really pump out a lot more damage, and people really can't handle the burst of this build. And it's crazy to think of a condition damage build with burst, but Flurry is just insane burst now with Crate Runes. And if people waste their condition removal on a pin down and the poison from your longbow, then you immediately follow it up with a Flurry, they're just going to be in a world of hurt. So moving on to weapons. On the swords, I take Sigil of Earth and Sigil of Battle. The Sigil of Earth gives bleeds on crit. It's very good, especially in this build. Lasts for almost 10 seconds. With Sigil of Battle, you gain might when you weapon swap. This build does have fast hands, so you weapon swap on cooldown. And the Sigil of Might will add up to about 6 stacks of might over time, which makes our conditions tick harder and do more damage, and even gives us some direct damage capability that isn't much, but it still can't be ignored. This Sigil, it can be anything, really, this Sigil of Battle. I've seen the Torment on weapon swap suggested. I don't know if that's even in PvP. But there's a lot of other sigils that you can use here that are decent. The Sigil of Geomancy, bleed on weapon swap, is good for team fights. Energy is really good. Corruption, even if you want to build up corruption stacks, is pretty good. The other one that someone suggested was Generosity. Transfer condition to your foe. But for the most part, I just like Sigil of Battle. It's easy. I don't have to think about it, and it works. On the longbow, Sigil of Doom keeps the enemy poisoned. The poison lasts for about 6 seconds. It's good at when you swap to longbow, you'll be dropping a fire field and pin down. So when you swap to longbow, they're going to have poison, fire, and burning, and bleeding. So that is quite good. I also use Sigil of Earth, because there are times where you just need to sit on your longbow and auto attack and at range, and for that time you don't really inflict a lot of conditions, especially if your pin down was to miss or something of that nature. So at least with the Sigil of Earth, you have the ability to put some bleeds on with the longbow, so it works out to be quite useful. For a while I was putting my battle sigil here, but I did notice that I wasn't inflicting a ton of conditions on my longbow, and I think it is beneficial to have the Sigil of Earth on the longbow for sure. So that's the equipment and the traits. So when we go to utility skills, Berserker Stance, it makes you immune to conditions for 10 seconds. This is really good way to, and it fills up your adrenaline, to win 1v1s. You can pop Berserker Stance, be immune to their conditions, burst them with drop a fire field, so they have to fight you in the fire field, do a pin down, all that stuff, make them blow their condition cleanses. Then your adrenaline will be filled again. You can swap to sword, Savage Leap to them, Flurry, and they should be hurting, and they shouldn't have too much more condition removal. So Berserker Stance, especially if you're fighting against another condition class, Berserker Stance is like an I win button. Additionally, Berserker Stance is actually really good against Thieves who are playing very power-based builds, and the reason is Thieves count on their poison from their attacks to overwhelm your healing signet. And if you have Berserker Stance, you will be immune to their poison, and Thieves also count on their black powder to blind you. And if you aren't blind and you're not poisoned, you can race the Thieves' DPS, because they can't really handle all your conditions unless they're playing like a sword, dagger, very defensive build, in which case you should be able to outlast them anyway. So the Berserker Stance is just an all-star. There's really never a time where that would leave your bar. The same is said for Balance Stance. The uses of stability in PvP are quite a lot. You don't need me to tell you how good stability is in PvP, but it essentially allows you to get stomps off. It allows you to get reses off. It allows you to hold points when people are trying to decap you. It allows you to fight people that base their whole build on CC, like decap NGs and Hambos, on even terms. So stability is just really, really good overall, and Balance Stance is the best that Warriors have for that. Third slot is kind of an open slot, and I'll tell you what I swap between a lot. I default to Fear Me. Fear Me is sort of like a toolbox skill, similar to Balance Stance, where you can use Fear Me to get stomps off. You can use Fear Me to prevent stomps. You can use Fear Me to res your teammates, and you can use it offensively. If you have a guy loaded up with conditions and he is just melting from your conditions, you can kind of guess that he's going to use his heal skill. And especially Necros and Mesmers, people with heal skills that have like a kind of long cast time, you can figure out their tell. And when, especially for a necro, like a human necro, he'll raise his hand in the air as he's casting his heal. You can then, bam, Fear Me. He's feared for 3 seconds. His heal is now on a long cooldown, and he's still melting from the conditions you put on him. So there's a very good chance he's dead. It's good for team fights. It's good for dueling. It's good to help you decap points. It's good to help you cap points. It's just overall a very useful skill to have. Also, sometimes I switch it out for Endure Pain depending on the enemy team composition. If they have a lot of warriors and thieves on their team, I will switch to Endure Pain. Endure Pain allows you to, especially when combined with Berserker Stance, if a thief's plan is to drop a black powder and then just fight you in it and think that you're going, and then he thinks that you're not going to be able to inflict any damage, and you're not going to be able to soak up his damage, well, you just pop Endure Pain and Berserker Stance and then Flurry so the thief can't run away, and guess what? The thief is dead. So Endure Pain, super, super strong, and I like that. Sometimes if I see that the enemy team, especially if I'm fighting on Skyhammer, sometimes I like to take the extra stability. For Doliac Signet, if I see the enemy team comp has a decap NG, I will take the extra stability. Because I know that I usually take the home point, and they will definitely send the decap after me, and having double stability means that I can just pretty much kill the decap NG. Similarly, where is it? Stomp is very similar to Fear Me, but it's on a shorter cooldown. It does somewhat the same thing. So there are definitely times where Stomp is a good skill to have as well. For the elite, I like Signet of Rage. It's especially with the traded, it interacts very well with Crate Rune number 6. Your elite skill inflicts bleeding, torment, and poison for 8 seconds to nearby foes. So you pop your Signet of Rage at a team fight, and suddenly everyone around you is bleeding, poison, and tormented. It is very good in those situations. I know a lot of people would suggest in TPVP to take Battle Standard, and there are times where I do. But for the most part, I think that this build is more of a dueling 1v1 build. It's better to cap Farpoint with it or to hold home point. So in those cases, you want Signet of Rage to help you win duels. And the Crate Rune interaction with Signet of Rage is really, really strong. But when you do team fight, it is even better because the AoE poison is very good at turning team fights because it reduces everyone's healing around you. And even if people are in downstate, there are times where if they're poisoned, the enemy war banners won't be able to res them. So Signet of Rage, very good. Plus it makes you crit more, gives you more might, so your conditions tick harder. It's just really, really good in those situations. If, for instance, you ever had to switch to Battle Standard, you can switch your rune to Superior Rune of Nightmare. It's condition duration, condition damage, very good. And then when you're hit, you fear people, which is really good as well. It's annoying. And then you can run battle standard. That way you're not super dependent on the crate rune bonus. But for the most part, Rune of the Crate is what makes it go. So that is what I roll with 9 times out of 10. If you want gameplay examples, I have a couple of videos in my description here where you can watch from my Twitch of me just solo queuing and team queuing with this build, and you can get an idea of how it plays on there. That's about it. If anyone has any questions, hit me up in the comments. I appreciate it. Have a great day.